Excitement for the upcoming Yan vs. O'Malley fight at UFC 280 is palpable. The former champ will take on O'Malley, who currently sits at 13 in the bantamweight rankings, and following Suga's recent words about how he sees the fight going, the Russian boxing expert has since fired back with a pretty simple response. Today, we are discussing O'Malley's words plus Yan's response on Twitter, so stay right where you are. Let's jump straight in then. What went down? Let's see. With the recent news coming out of UFC HQ that a fight between Suga, Sean O'Malley, and former champion Petr Yan had been booked, O'Malley explained his feelings toward the bout. Clearly excited about what is obviously the biggest fight of his career so far, O'Malley said, "I'm so excited for this. I almost can't even believe it's real. It's happening." O'Malley was quick to sign on for another fight after the disappointment of what happened in his last bout against Pedro Munoz. And with Petr Yan coming off a loss in his last title fight, everything fell into place at the right time. The bout will be on the same card as the Dillashaw vs. Sterling bout in Abu Dhabi, and Suga thinks he is simply a better fighter than the Russian, saying, "I'm better than Petr, and I truly believe that, and I think that's what is going to get the job done. I'm going to go in there more prepared than Petr. I'm going to go in there and just do what I do. Obviously, putting Petr's lights out would be massive, but I just need to go in there and get the job done against Petr Yan." 3 5-minute rounds. Yan, in typical Yan style, responded with a simple one-liner on Twitter, saying, "My fists will do the talking. Who do you guys have when this one goes down? We cannot wait for it." O'Malley has been further discussing the Yan fight now. Stay tuned. O'Malley will go into the UFC 280 fight as a slight underdog, given the fact that Yan represents by far the biggest challenge of his career. And Suga has recently been discussing how the rewards vastly outweigh the risks when it comes to the bout. On the July 27th issue of the MMA Hour podcast, O'Malley explained how it's hard not to look at it like that, suggesting that if he does go on to lose, he will take solace in the fact that he will have lost to the number one guy. He went on to say how this fight could be the making of the man. He said, "I just believe in creating these powerful moments, these magical moments, and I think this is how superstars are created. I go out there and starch Petr Yan October 22nd in Abu Dhabi. That's massive. That is how superstars are born, and I just feel like this is a perfect fight in my career. Perfect time, perfect opponent. It's just my time to go out there." Going on to tell Helwani how he wants to take the opportunity he has been given, he said that the more skilled his opposition is, the better that will ultimately make him. He also said he still hasn't shown the world what he is truly capable of, before warning Yan that he is going to be the guy who gets to see it for the first time. What do you make of Sean's words? Next up, Dana has revealed his initial thoughts on the bout. When he was first pitched the idea of number 13 ranked Sean O'Malley going up against number 1 ranked Petr Yan, Dana explained how he responded to UFC matchmaker Sean Shelby's idea of putting the two against each other. Going into detail about how it all went down, White said that the pair were discussing matchups when Shelby came up with the idea, to which he replied, "Are you out of your mind? You don't make that fight now. This and that." He told me why he'd make it, and O'Malley's ready. You know, O'Malley's about to be 28 years old in October, in his absolute prime right now, hits like a truck. Ultimately, Shelby was able to convince his boss to sign off on the fight, thankfully for the rest of us, and White went on to explain that it was an easy sell for both O'Malley and Yan. It might even be the most popular fight in the bantamweight division this year, as fans want to know just how high the Sean O'Malley ceiling really is. And O'Malley himself, who is never short on confidence, said that he is relishing the opportunity to test himself against Yan, saying, "I think I proved I can hang with the top 10 guys against Munoz. Jumping up to the number 1 guy, this is a huge test, and I believe I will rise to the occasion." Do you think O'Malley is ready for Yan? O'Malley has responded to White's initial reluctance now. Stay with us. After hearing about UFC boss Dana White's words, after first hearing about the O'Malley versus Yan suggestion, Suga has responded. Of course, the boss was skeptical when first being pitched the idea, but O'Malley believes he can convince White of his obvious potential once fight night rolls around. Asked about the issue on Ariel Helwani's The MMA Hour podcast this week, O'Malley explained how he's not really looking at it either way. He explained that it won't particularly matter what White thought, as he plans to faceplant Petr into the canvas. Once he has done this, he fully expects Dana to give him the credit he deserves, after explaining to Helwani that he believes he has what it takes to put Piotr's lights out, O'Malley went on to readdress Dana's initial thoughts on the fight, saying that he believes Dana wasn't being disrespectful, it's just his opinion. And Suga, who has only tasted defeat once in his career against Marlon Vera, went on to say, "I don't really care. I think that fight gets Dana excited. Dana's been doing this for a long time. He could be getting burnt out of it, watching fights every weekend. What fight is gonna make Dana go, I need to watch that fight. I have to watch that. I have to know what happened." There are very few fights coming up. What do you make of Suga's response? Sean has suggested a title shot with a win over Yan next. Stay where you are. Sean O'Malley fully expects to take on the winner of TJ Dillashaw versus Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight title with a win over Russian brawler Petr Yan. Suga was speaking at last week's UFC London press conference and was asked if a win over Yan means a title shot, to which he replied 100%. Of course, there are 11 fighters between Yan and O'Malley, so we're not entirely sure if he will be next in line. I mean, Jose Aldo and Chito Vera will probably have something to say about that first, right? When asked about how he sees the title fight going down at 280, Sean responded by saying, "Interesting fight. If I had to guess, I'd say TJ can get the job done, but you can't count Aljo out." O'Malley's former foe, Marlon Vera, will also be out next month in a top of the division clash against former champ Dominic Cruz. Sean has continually denied Vera's win over him, although it's in the books in black and white, claiming he was injured. I mean, suck it up. Speaking about a potential rematch against the Ecuadorian, Suga simply replied, "Possibly," before going into ifs and buts about the upcoming bouts. He finished by saying, "I wouldn't mind beating up Petr and then letting Jose fight for the title and then fighting the winner of those two. Jose is a legend and he deserves to fight for that belt," which is nice of him, right? And finally, Sean has been giving his thoughts on management companies. Stay where you are for this. Of course, O'Malley doesn't mind giving his honest assessment of any given situation. And when the issue of management came up on yesterday's, July 28th, edition of the MMA Hour, O'Malley had an interesting opinion. Helwani asked him if he or his management had been told what a win over Yan would mean next for his career, to which he revealed he doesn't have a manager, telling Helwani, "I do my own deals." When asked if that is the best way to manage his career, O'Malley explained that it makes no sense to him why he would employ someone who is literally just a middleman. And that makes sense to us too. I mean, these guys aren't paid a huge amount as it is. So why would he employ a management company when he can take his own calls? He finished by saying, "Same thing with fight pay money too. You want 15% of my money because you did what? No, that ain't happening. Oh, you want some of the bonus too? Yeah, not happening." Good for you, Sean. What do you guys think? As usual, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to tune in again next time when we'll be discussing all sorts of cool bits and pieces. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video with any UFC enthusiasts you might have lurking in the depths of those socials. Bye, guys.